Oh, my poor sweet captive. My love. There's nothing to be scared of. I love you so much. And I promise I will protect you from the evils of that secret society. If you promise to do my bidding. Whatever I ask of you, no matter how scary or uncomfortable, I will consider letting you go. But I need you to promise to keep your allegiance to me. In fact, I want us to do a spell for it, just to be sure. A loyalty spell. In case you forget just how much you love me while you're out there in the world. I don't want you to forget, not even for a second, that you're mine. My goodness, could you look any more terrified? Relax. You have me on your side. Their magic is nothing compared to mine. What do I want you to do? Well, actually, I have an idea. You are going to join that secret society. You're going to become the next member of Elites Exalted. Yes, I did say they were evil. Because they are. But you're going to join them. And you're going to learn all of their secrets. Even the secrets that they keep hidden from the trees. You will infiltrate them for me. You will bring all that information to me. And with it, you and I will take them down once and for all. Now, let's get that loyalty spell taken care of, shall we? Just sit right there. This won't hurt a bit. Salem. Salem, what do you want? I fed you 3 times already today. All right. You're gonna make our guest here think I starve you. Okay, hold that spell. I have to attend to my boss. I'll be right back, my love. Salem, you act like you haven't eaten in a week here, buddy. You're lucky you're cute. Oh, you're such a cutie. Little Salem. Here's your dinner. You're a good kitty. Psst. Psst. Over here. Hey, shh. Don't say anything. You probably only have a few seconds to get away from her while she feeds her cat. And once she puts that other spell on you, you're toast. You'll be hers forever. You're gonna have to move silently. Oh, you're stuck? Did she put a sticky butt spell on you? Okay, let me do the counterspell real quick. But you bus, liberate to us. Come on! Phew. Okay, I think we lost her. Oh no, she never leaves those woods. Don't worry. I don't think she can. Jeez, how did you get roped in with her so fast? Okay. Well, there's a reason why the faculty tells us not to wander into the Westwoods alone. They can't really put beware of witches in the welcome packet, but I guess now you know. You have to be more careful. Or at least check in with me before you go exploring again, okay? I'm here to look out for you. You just have to let me. Okay, we're almost here. Well, I'm taking you to a party. Why do you think I'm dressed as Taylor Swift? Don't you like my costume? No, it's not an elite's exalted party. We'll do that soon. This is actually not a kid from our school. It's this super rich dweeb who goes to the public school in town. I don't know why he does, to be honest. He's smart enough and rich enough to go to St. Elite's. Anyways, I guess this cheerleader convinced him to throw a Halloween party at his house. I guess that might explain why he's staying in the public school. Never underestimate the power of a popular girl in a cheerleading uniform. Anyways, a bunch of us from St. Elite's know him from the country club, so we're meeting in the backyard. They're having a bonfire and telling stories. Although, you just lived a scary story. You up for some more? Good. Let's go.
Oh, you finally made it.
Oh, hey, Xena. Well, the whole gang's here. Hey, Percy.
Hey.
Hey, Starlet.
Hey.
Hey, Luke.
Sup?
Wolf.
Hey.
Forenza.
What's up?
And oh my god, Anony. I haven't seen you since Chad's party. I can't believe you ended up on the news when that car caught on fire.
That was insane.
Well, we made it through. Oh my god, I can't handle all your costumes. You all look so good. Loving her, a sexy lifeguard. Okay, you look hot.
Thanks.
And Forenza, you were the cutest little ninja. And Luke, look at you all vampy vamp.
What can I say? I look good in fangs.
And oh my god, Percy, I love your costume. You look just like Ken, but cuter.
Yeah, right.
You do. I want to get you a little Mojo Dojo. And Wolf, you're a wolf. How fitting.
Thanks.
Who's your friend?
This is the newest member of the St. Elite's family. Today was their first day on campus.
Ooh.
Sorry we're late. We got a little stuck. Yeah. Our lovesick sorceress of the West Woods found the fresh meat. Or I should say, the freshman meat. What did we miss?
We're making s'mores. You want one?
Please and thank you. You want one, freshman? Great. Make that too. So, we're telling scary stories, are we?
Yes.
So, Xena, you got a good one for us tonight? Her stories are always so messed up.
Thanks. Sure, I'll go. Okay, so I don't want to be asked if it's real or not, because I don't want to get into it. But so when I was little, I was told a story about a Raggedy Ann doll that would do terrible things to people. You know that story Annabelle? And so I found out that there was some truth to that story. And one of my friends had a Ouija board. And she had a Raggedy Ann doll that was like glass size. And one day I said, let's use the Ouija board. And we didn't know how to properly close it out. We didn't know about the hello and the goodbye or whatever, if it's even real. And so we started asking questions, and we were touching the planchette, and it was answering stuff for us. And it told us it was a little girl, and I thought it was just my friend dragging it around the board where it was supposed to go, where she wanted it to go. It was really creepy. hated every minute of it. But I just thought it was a joke. It was all supposed to be just a joke. So I then went and I said it could go in the doll. I said, if you're a little child and you want to relive your childhood, go into the doll and it's fun. Well, the doll started... We heard whispers from around the doll. For years and years and years after. It would tell you things that were about to happen. It was never good. And that was the year that my parents split up. My mom went missing for 4 years, and when she came back, she was not how I remembered her. She was different. My friend's family also split up, and a couple of our other closer friends that were in there, one got really sick and she didn't come back to school for a few years. The other one, her family ended up having to move away because her dad lost her job. We don't know what happened to her. It was a lot. And so, my friend tried to get rid of the doll, but the doll kept coming back. No matter what she did, the doll always came back. We grew apart over time. And she went to a different high school than me. I moved away. And I never caught back up to her until this year when I found her on Facebook. Just had it really rough. And one thing that's true is she still has that doll. She can't get rid of it. She refuses to because every time she tries it gets worse. Until, since I was the one that helped cast her with it, I was able to take the doll. And I brought it here, guys. Oh, you guys fell for that.
I did not fall for that. I was flinching because I was cold.
Yeah, right.
I was. All right. Wolf, you got something for us tonight?
Sure, I'll go. There once was a man. He was about 37 at the time. He went to his high school reunion. He flew into the nearest airport and rented a car. The distance was about 35 miles through and a very rural and almost abandoned part of the country. About 3 miles outside of town, the man sees someone on the side of the road. He flagged him down. Turns out, it was one of the guys he had attended school with, named Jim. Not his real name, of course, but hardly matters. Jim gets in the car with him, and they get to talking. They hadn't seen each other in about 20 years, but he more or less looked exactly the same. Maybe a little bit older in the face. They get to town, and the man asks Jim if he wants to come with him to the bar and have a drink. Jim says no, just take me home. Jim's parents lived only a few blocks from his grandmother's house, and he turned in the direction but said to take him home to the outskirts of town. Once there, he saw a mobile home parked out there and figured this must be where he lived. When they reached the end of the turnoff, Jim said, "Just drop me off here. It's good to see you again." And he walks off into the night. The man goes to the bar by himself and meets up with some of his old classmates. They get to talking. As they're all talking about who's going to the reunion and who's not, the man mentions that he just picked up Jim up 3 miles east of town and had dropped him off. Everyone gets quiet. Even the guy singing karaoke stops and lays the mic down. The man's cousin hears this, and his face gets as white as a t-shirt. His cousin says to him, "Jim died on that curve 8 years ago, rolled his car. We were all at his funeral," the man was told. He started to feel dizzy, and he went out to the car to take some deep breaths. There on the seat, he sees the local newspaper, printed 8 years ago. And in that newspaper is Jim's obituary.
Okay, now, this is why I don't pick up hitchhikers. I guess I'm not going to pick up old friends now either. Thanks a lot, Wolf. Well, it was a good cautionary tale. All right, Starlet, you're up.
Okay, so Dr. Emily Gray was a clinical psychiatrist. She worked at a mental asylum, for lack of a better term. And she worked there for many, many years, alongside her husband, her high school sweetheart, who was also licensed and certified as a psychiatrist. They didn't have the same patients. So, one day, Emily starts to notice that a lot of the patients are having roughly the same things recorded in their charts. Same unusual signs in their blood work. And high spikes of protein. Things that didn't line up with the medication and the diet they all had, because you're in that type of environment. The doctors are keeping a very close eye on what you're intaking and everything. These patients, only the ones with these new signs on them, were showing signs of a lot of increased aggression. They would be throwing things at the orderlies or at the doctors, not cooperating, struggling against taking their medication, just generally being more difficult. So Dr. Gray brings this up to her husband. She brings this up to her husband, and he agrees. He's also seen the same thing. And it's his belief that it's just a psychosomatic kind of thing where patients have heard others acting up, and it sort of spurred them to do the same. And the differences in their blood work were all just coincidental, or not to a high enough degree for it to really be statistically significant. Plus, protein isn't really known to cause aggression. So it was just assumed that the patients were acting up because they heard other patients acting up. Emily wasn't convinced. It was possible, but it didn't quite sound right to her. So one night, she stayed late after everyone else was leaving. Everyone else went home, except for the night shift, of course. And, she stayed up studying cameras, trying to catch something going on. But she ended up falling asleep in the security guard's office. And when she woke up inside one of the cells in the asylum. Straight jacket on, the whole stereotypical thing. And so as anyone would, she's suddenly finding herself in this position. She starts to get very upset. She stands up, she's calling out for help because she doesn't belong in there. Yelling out for help, and all she hears is the echoing of her own voice in the room. Eventually an orderly comes in, brings her medication, tells her that she's in pretty rough shape, and that basically I've been taking care of you for a long time and something seems off. Which doesn't make sense. Emily was just watching cameras in the security guard's office. But the more she tries to explain this to the orderly, the more convinced they are that she's having an episode and needs to be sedated. And not really much she can do about it. Still restrained and everything. As she's falling asleep, the medicine kicks in, you know. She sees her husband walk in, Dr. Gray. And he walks over to her, he kneels down, and as her eyes are closing, he whispers to her, "No one will believe you now."
Oh.
The end.
Okay, that was terrifying.
Yeah, it kind of was. Sheesh. Thanks, Starlet. That was good. All right, Anony. Your turn.
Okay, so I've been listening to these kinds of stories for like the longest time. And I wanted to talk about... Are you ready? Skinwalkers. Technically, the scariest thing about them is that you're not supposed to talk about them because that attracts them to you. And that's the spooky part. But we're not near Native American land, so we should be fine, I think. Anyways, what I wanted to say was... Well... It's nothing. Sorry, I'm getting a little... spooked. I know, I haven't even said anything yet, but like, just the thought, you know? Okay, first off, what are skinwalkers? They're, in Native American folklore, they're like this monster person sort of thing. They're like a witch or a shaman that can change into different animals based on whatever skin they're wearing. So, skinwalkers, so if they're wearing like, let's say a deer skin, they can transform into a deer. And the thing that gives them away is that they don't have tails and their eyes look human. So basically imagine a deer without a tail and human eyes. Okay, that's not... Yeah. It's something. But most of all, they usually appear as dogs. So... if you can imagine dogs without a tail and human-looking eyes just gazing at you in the middle of a dark alley. It's weird. But what scares me about them is that they do this thing where, like, they'll cry out to people, in a distorted voice, like... I can't explain it. I can't explain how they do it, but it's like, it's distorted, it's staticky, it's weird. And the way I'm talking about it now doesn't sound that scary, but imagine like we're in these woods and then out of nowhere you hear someone crying for help, but it doesn't sound right. You know it doesn't sound right. And you want to help them because they're screaming, they're shrieking like they've actually been stabbed or cut apart or anything, attacked, and it's horrifying, but it doesn't sound right, so you can't bring yourself to help them or to go investigate because you just know something's wrong. And that's basically what they do. They try to lure you in, and they say they can only repeat the last phrases from their victims. So that's why they only say things like help repeatedly and begging for someone to save them and oh God and things like that, because that's all they can say. And so if you try to call out and ask, you know, what's wrong, who's there, what's going on, they can't answer you. They can only say help. And I just think that's really freaky. I know, I'm making it sound cheesy. I don't know, the way I tell it, it doesn't sound very scary, but it's just the thought that, like, these things can change into animals and follow you and find you, and they can try to change into people too. They're known for trying to dress up and look like humans, but there's always something wrong. They can never get it right. Like, they forget to breathe, for example, so the person you think you're talking to isn't even breathing, they're not moving, and they just have this look in their eyes like they're completely dead, and it's just horrifying. And again, they can't say anything but the last things their victims said, so you can't communicate with them, and it's just this horrifying thing. I don't know, I always liked Skinwalker stories. When I'm on YouTube and listening to people like Lacey Masquerade, I would always binge the stories on Skinwalkers. Yeah, him and Mr. Nightmare. because the scariest part to me is that they sense when you speak about them and take interest in them. No. Well, if one does come around, I would try to help you guys, kind of. From what I know, you can only stop them with Navajo words and also something about ashes and bullets. I don't know. I just know that, yeah, they're monsters that can shapeshift into anything. They're horrifying, and they cry out their victims' last words to try and lure you in so they can kill you next.
Ooh. Well, I'm not sleeping tonight.
Me neither.
Sorry, I know. Very eerie. It's just one of my favorite spooky things. I could also tell you about Wendigos, but now's not the time.
Are you sure?
Well, I want to give it to the next person.
All right, well, that was awesome. And terrifying. Percy, you're up next.
All right, everybody. Gather round. When I was a kid, everybody in the neighborhood knew that the old Simpson house was haunted. Well, we didn't know it was. We'd just assumed it. It was abandoned, had been for years, as long as anybody could remember. The yard was barren, no vegetation would grow there, and it was suddenly surrounded entirely by an old wood picket fence. Chest high to us kids, too high to hop over, but low enough to easily see the house from across the street. Us kids would play games where we'd hop over the fence and see who would come closest to touching the house before running in terror. Nobody had ever actually made it to touching the wood siding. The old Simpson house was on my way home from school, so every day I had to pass that ghastly house, always trying to avoid looking at it for fear of what I'd see. When I'd walk past the gate, I'd always step a little farther out from the fence, scared of the day that the gate would be jerked open and me through it, never to be seen again. But one day, as I was walking home, I saw something different. The gate was open. I froze in front of that gate, staring at the house, feeling chills down my spine when I heard the voice call out. A shrill, high-pitched voice coming from the house. "If this log rolls over, we'll drown. We'll drown." I stood and stared. A part of me had no intention of moving from that spot, but somewhere deep inside, I felt courage. There was somebody in that house who needed help, and there was nobody else around but me. My legs shook as I stepped into the yard. I'd never been the brave one to just jump the fence before, so this was more than I'd ever done. With each step along the weathered sidewalk, I found myself growing even more brave. But when I hit the front porch, I froze. What if I had imagined it? What if the voice came from somewhere else? As if on cue, it came again. "If this log rolls over, we'll drown. We'll drown." It had definitely come from inside the house. Slowly, I placed one foot onto the ancient wood of the front porch, farther than any boy in the neighborhood had ever done, more than any human being in the last 50 years. Then, the next, and approached the front door. I thought to myself, there's no way this door's going to be unlocked. It just can't be. I reached out a hand, gripped the knob, and turned. Click! And I pulled. Inside, the house was lit only by the sunlight that filtered through the dust-covered windows. The floor was covered in years of dust, completely undisturbed, not even mouse tracks visible. There were still furniture throughout the interior, all covered in dust-layered white sheets. Spiderwebs clustered along the ceiling. I waited. I'm not sure what I waited for, but I finally moved when I heard it again. If this log rolls over, we'll drown! We'll drown! Now, I had a direction. A low staircase that snaked upstairs. I stepped into the house, my feet clearly being the first to breach that doorway in decades, and I made my way to the steps and began climbing. At the top of the stairs was a long hallway, lined with doors, all open with the exception of the last door on the left. If this log rolls over, we'll drown. We'll drown. I cautiously walked down the hall, every nerve in my body crying out to leave now, but knowing I'd passed the point of no return, I had to find the source of this terrifying cry. I turned the knob, part of me praying that it wouldn't open, but sure enough, click, it did. Inside was more furniture. Clearly, a bedroom, covered in sheets and dust. The floor was littered with cobwebs and more undisturbed dust. The only thing of interest in the room was another door. If this log rolls over, we'll drown. We'll drown. I moved to this door as fast as my shaking legs and pounding heart could allow, grasped the knob and click, then pulled. Inside was a bathroom, and I could see, in the toilet, a small turd. And on that turd were two ants, and one ant shouted to the other, "If this log rolls over, we'll drown. We'll drown."
Oh my god. I want to barf. You're so gross. Alright, but that was pretty funny. All right, now, Forenza, what do you got?
So, my story starts out with a little bit of something that you might have heard from your school. You remember the one? The same one we all went to for elementary? Oh, except I think I met you in middle, actually. Or intermediary. Anyways, there we were, third period. We had that sub come in that day. You remember the one? The one that got caught picking her nose right in front of class because she was half asleep. Can practically smell the booze on her. Well, she didn't really like her little gold-digging nugget nickname, even though we were too young to really know what an actual gold digger was. We'd always call her Pioneer Sub. Well, remember Kenton? Yeah, the class clown. Always took it too far. I heard one day he stuck all his boogers onto her chair when we knew that our next teacher was going to be out for her maternity leave. And she sat on it. Oh no, that's not the scary part. That's just the gross part. What happened next, though? She didn't even look to the rest of the class. She looked straight at him. I remember sitting there, though. I was sitting on the side, front row seat, just like my mom always wanted me to. I swear, her eyes were pure red, bloodshot. And I didn't smell a hint of booze that day on her. She looked straight at Kenton's desk. And I swore, on the Bible swore. One of her pupils started twitching. No, not her eye. Her actual pupil iris. It looked like it was trying to split into two. I think I might have made a noise or something, or one of the kids next to me was starting to hyperventilate. But her eyes were pure as white, like bone, right after that. She didn't even say anything to Kenton. She just got up and we had a free period. She left. No one really heard about her, but the next day, Kenton wasn't at his desk. Apparently, she was no longer to be subbing. None of us really heard what had happened, but there was a detective that came over just trying to figure out what we all knew about the sub and Kenton. Apparently, there was a mystery going and he had turned out to be on a lunchbox the next week.
Ooh.
Some say you can hear some of the teachers screaming about their eye going red right after that, but we never got another sub that year. Forever. Sorry, but it's not that scary. What? It was totally scary. You were looking like you're about to wet your pants over there.
Oh my god, I love it. All right, Lavender, our cute little lifeguard. What do you have for us tonight?
Here goes my story. Deep in our very own town stands a house so ordinary you'd never give it a second glance. Yet behind its walls lived a woman who to all outward appearances was just your average soccer mom. But appearances can be deceiving. She held a chilling secret that would make anyone's blood run cold. Every couple of years, she'd find herself drawn to someone new, someone she'd develop feelings for. But instead of the usual courting or trying to date like most would, she had her own dark methods. She'd bake brownies so delicious that no one could ever resist. But what no one knew was that these brownies contained a magic spell. Once eaten, they would cast a deep sleep over the unsuspecting victim. By the time they'd wake up, they'd find themselves chained down, trapped in a cage, deep in her soundproofed basement. And this is where it becomes even more chilling. She didn't neglect or torture her captives. No. She lavished them with care. She'd bring them gourmet meals, their favorite coffee from the town's best cafe, pampering them, treating them like they were royalty. Inevitably, though, her captives would refuse her lavish treatment, often starving themselves or just driving themselves mad until they eventually perished. However, among her many victims, there was one sharper and more cunning than the rest. Over time, he managed to convince her that he had feelings for her too. And after 3 grueling years, she began to trust him, even allowing him brief moments of freedom in her garden. This captive, always observant, noticed deadly mushrooms growing in the woods just at the edge of her yard. With every garden visit, he laid his plan, taking mental notes of where he could gather this poison and deciding exactly what to do with it. Through his feigned affection for her, he convinced her to enjoy picnics together, suggesting they make healthy choices and have salads. They had a few of these salad picnics, and he made sure that they were uneventful, continuing to build her trust. Until one day, when he decided to put his plan into motion. While she was distracted, he replaced the harmless mushrooms in her salad with the poisonous ones he had gathered from her yard. She consumed them without a hint of suspicion. As the poison began to take hold, making her weak and delirious, he seized the moment to whisper his truth, that he never loved her, and that he, in fact, loathed her very existence. Despite his weak condition himself, he managed to escape, rushing to the safety of the town, seeking refuge in a hospital where he confided in a nurse what had happened to him. But fate has its cruel ways. From his hospital bed, he saw his soccer mom kidnapper being wheeled in, poisoned by the mushrooms, but still alive. Terrified of retribution, he quickly recanted his story, speaking of his captivity to no one ever again. And the only reason I know this chilling tale is because my mother was that nurse at the hospital that night. And she's the one who shared this shocking story with me. So remember, the next time a soccer mom from our town offers you a treat, especially a brownie, think twice. For who knows, beneath that ordinary facade could lie the darkest of secrets.
Jeez, that's insane. I can't believe your mom was really their nurse. Remind me to never buy from a bake sale again. Okay, if our bones are not chilled enough, Luke, I know you're gonna freak us out some more. Let's hear it.
Well, I have a tale that will chill you to the bone. A story of a local boy, an obsession, and even more haunting secrets of our very own town. There once lived a young man named Charles, just 19. He was deeply captivated by the dark world of vampires. His room, a shrine to the undead. Books, movies, artworks, you name it. Ironically, or maybe fittingly, Charles worked at our local blood bank. Day in and day out, as Charles went about his job, he noticed a striking blonde girl frequenting the place, never donating, just lurking. Despite her oddities, he couldn't deny her charm. Yet, as the summer days continued, things around Charles became strange. He would feel eyes on him, following him. Once, in the cover of the night, he even thought he witnessed 2 werewolves in a heated brawl. Another time, he saw a creature, something he could only describe as a demon. And each time, this blonde girl was close, almost protective. But Charles, despite his obsessions, reassured himself, convinced it was some theatrical show or his imagination playing tricks. Then came a night when everything he believed was upended. Alone at home, there was a knock on his door. There she was, the blonde. But something was off. As she spoke, a set of fangs glinted in the dim porch light. Panic set in. Charles froze. Mentally racing through every vampire story he'd ever read, he stood cautiously, towing the safety of his home, remembering that a vampire needs an invitation. But she spoke, and as she spoke, truths unfolded. The monsters he saw, she told him, they were real. The demon, the werewolves, everything. She claimed she had been his guardian all this time, his protector from these dark forces. And as Charles grappled with this revelation, she dropped another. Her feelings for him, a deep, unyielding love. Charles was torn. Here stood a creature he'd idolized, yet feared. A protector, yet possibly a predator. He wanted to believe her words of protection, her love, and maybe deep down, he wanted to be a part of the world he'd always been obsessed with. The atmosphere grew thick with tension, her pleas to be let in, his internal battle of trust and fear, and in a moment of weakness, entranced by her allure, he opened the door wider, finally inviting her into his world. With a swift motion, she was in. The door slammed shut, the night outside silent, and just like that, Charles disappeared into the shadows of our town's dark lore. A cautionary tale for all.
But Charles is okay, right? I mean, the vampire loved him. She was protecting him. She wouldn't Oh shoot, freshman, you're right. I didn't think of that. I guess she might want him to live eternally young with her forever. Well, damn, Luke. You can stay away from me tonight with that vampire outfit on. Good job. That was scary. Okay, I guess it's my turn. I'm going to tell the tale that many of you are already familiar with. The tale of the lovesick sorceress. You see, nestled in the heart of the woods that stands so tall near our campus, there lies a dark secret. A sinister enigma that the faculty never admit to being real. But we all know better. The West Woods are a forbidden realm to those who have not studied and honed the practice of magic. And for good reason. Legend has it, and we all know it, that within these woods there resides a witch. A witch unlike any other you have ever heard of. She's both beautiful and terrifying. An enchantress who weaves her sinister spells beneath the dense canopy of the trees. You see, the faculty warns us to stay away from the woods for a reason, but they'll never say that that reason is her. This witch is desperate for love. When a new student, fresh and unsuspecting, ventures into her clutches, she falls madly in love with them. Her obsession is unnerving because she never lets them leave her side. They become her prisoners, captives of her dark, desperate grasp. What she desires is not just their love, but their complete loyalty. With a wicked gleam in her eye, she makes them promise to never forsake her. They must do her bidding in the world and return to her when she beckons. Their lives become a never-ending nightmare as she ensnares them into her dark web. And then there's her cat, Salem, a creature more powerful than the witch herself. We've always known that, though, haven't we? Cats are really the ones who run the show. And this black cat, her loyal companion, he's the only one that even she herself will submit to. He's the only one she sees as greater and more powerful than even herself. Those who fall into the witch's grasp, they find themselves under the watchful eye of the kitty cat Salem as well. Now, there's one way to escape the clutches of this malevolent witch and her kitty. It's known that a person equally adept in the art of magic can cast a spell to release her prisoners. An act of bravery and power. They can break the bonds and set the captive free. But be warned, freedom comes with a price. The rescued soul owes their savior more than just gratitude. They owe them their life, their complete loyalty. They're bound, forever indebted to the one who summoned the strength to defy the witch's darkness. So as we sit here, around this campfire, beneath this starry sky, remember this cautionary tale. The West Woods hold secrets that are better left undiscovered. The witch is always lurking, waiting for the next victim to stumble into her wicked, twisted love. So let this tale be a warning, my friends. May you never be lured by the enchantment of the Forbidden Woods. And if you are, don't forget who saved your buttubus. Another s'more freshman?
What the?
What?
That nerd turned on the sprinklers.
They turned the sprinklers on?
I'm so...
Her costume is ruined.
Oh my god, I'm soaked. Let's get out of here. Hi guys, this is Lacey. Happy Halloween, if you celebrate. I have clearly been celebrating spooky season, and it's been so much fun. I wanted to say a huge thank you to my VA friends who took the time to record these awesome, spooky, and sometimes funny stories that I could add into this audio. It's amazing. You guys blew me away. And the funny thing is so this week I got COVID for the first time. And once I found out, I felt like I was like prepping for like a hurricane, because I was like, oh my god, there's so much I want to record, there's so much I want to do, and I know I'm gonna get really sick. So I recorded everything I could really quick in one night. And all these other awesome VAs were so amazing and sent me their recordings. But obviously I'm not going to any Halloween parties this weekend, which is kind of a bummer because my Barbie outfit is awesome. But I'll save it maybe for next year or something. So, but I feel like I went to a party a little bit because I have been editing together all these awesome VAs and kind of creating a little party. So you guys are my Halloween party this year. So anyway, I just wanted to say a big shout out to Xena and Wolf and Starlet and Anony and Percy, Lavender, Varenza, and Luke. You all are amazing, and a big thanks to Xena, especially because the whole reason that I know all of you now is because of the ASMR Roleplay Lounge Discord. And that's just such an amazing place, and it's just so cool to connect to other people who love making the same kind of audio and people who love listening to it, as I'm also a listener. So I'm also a fan. So to be able to make audio with you guys is amazing. And Xena, just thank you again for inviting me in there a few months ago now. And it's just such an incredible place. So make sure you all join there and we can become friends there. And so I was planning on doing a Twitch stream this Halloween, actually, on Halloween night, but I am feeling a lot better, to be honest. I'm just really tired and like dealing with some headaches. But I'm a little bit nervous to actually have the stream on Halloween, just in case I hear people can like feel better and then they like relapse and feel worse. So I think I'm going to hold off and maybe do it like the next night or maybe a couple nights later. Just stay tuned, but I am planning to do a stream soon. I planned all these spooky songs and games and prizes, and I really still want to do it. So it probably won't be on Halloween. It won't be on Halloween. I'm just going to say that. Just take that pressure off myself. It might be the next day or a couple days later, but stay tuned. And yeah, I just want to send big hugs to these other amazing VAs. I totally feel like we've been hanging out the last couple days as I've been editing you all. And so thanks for being like so cool and so amazing to send this in. And thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's over in my Discord. all the amazing mods and friends who run that Discord, and I get to be in it, and it's so fun to get to know you all so much. And thanks to everyone on Patreon. You've been so incredible supporting me, and I hope everyone is having a really, really fun Halloween. So I will talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.